watch over us as we conduct the business of the county. We thank you for the rain that we've had this weekend and the beautiful weather that accompanied it. And as we remember those who gave our last full measure in service to our country, and we ask that you continue to bless us as we navigate through this COVID crisis, and that the trends continue on the way that they are continuing. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Glad everybody's here tonight. For the record, we've got Commissioner Watts dialed in, and our county attorney Heath English is dialed in as well. So first on the agenda is a public hearing to consider a beer and wine package sales license for Sunnyside Beverage at 3087 Crest Highway. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion to enter the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Basically, just all those in favor of the public hearing. It's unanimous. Okay, so the public hearing phase is now open, and I guess we have about 11 comments from folks that emailed in, and Ms. Jones, you just kind of want to read those comments.
All right, so the first comment is from Connie Adams. Dear Commissioners, this is to express my concerns about this proposed establishment. One, it will endanger the safety of our community. The current driveway enters and exits on Highway 74, just a few yards from an extremely dangerous intersection. The driveway, some already do. Number three, the trash on Old Alabama Road is now unsightly. I have picked up beer cans, bottles, liquor bottles, beer packaging, and cups in order to mow the grass. My neighbors and I consider this a nuisance establishment. Thank you for your consideration and of my concerns. The next one is from Jason Weeks, pastor of Fellowship Baptist Church. Good morning, and thank you for hearing my concerns on the applied for beer and wine packaging license at 3087 Crest Highway. I want to know if the proper footage was checked from the youth house that it is directly across from Sunnyside Grocery. If the package license is being applied for within the footage, this is all a moot point. Fellowship Baptist Church has ministries operating out of that home, and we stand adamantly opposed to the approval of this license. Our community does not need any more alcohol, especially in such a residential area with churches, children, and family living in that area. Again, thank you for your concerns. Feel free to call me anytime to discuss the matter. The third one is from Ansley Weeks. I am a college student that attends Fellowship Baptist Church and we hold events at the Crest campus, and I disagree strongly with selling alcohol beverages right across the street. I also live right around the corner, and I don't want that near my house. Jennifer Weeks. I am writing in opposition of the beverage store that is trying to open at Sunnyside Road and Crest Highway. I attend Fellowship Baptist Church, and we have many events at that campus, including children and youth events. We do not want or need a beverage store next door to us. I also feel the measurement should be made public of distance from our youth house on the church property to the proposed location store to ensure it meets all guidelines. In the past, measurements have been done from that main church building, and the youth house is not used, which is incorrect. I am also a resident of Sunnyside community and do not want the riffraff that comes with those type of stores in my neighborhood. Thank you. Johnny Cochran. Gentlemen, I was under the impression that a business selling alcoholic beverages beverages had to be a certain distance from a place of worship. We are not happy with the business near our Crest location. We are members of the Fellowship Baptist Church and are not happy about this business. Ashley Williams. I am writing you this morning to voice my opposition of the beverage store that will be going in near Fellowship Baptist Church Crest campus. I deeply oppose this, especially being so close to a church. Nothing good ever comes from the consumption of sales of alcohol. Stephen Sample. I would like to inform you that myself and the local community are vehemently against the beverage sale shop at 3087 Crest Highway. The Crestside community is a beacon of what Upson could be or used to be, and placing a business like this in our community would be detrimental. The business is near Fellowship Baptist Church, which is a very influential part of this community. We stand against adding this establishment to our wholesome community. I hope this email will give you a small idea as to the great opposition that your constituents feel towards this type of business. Kevin Hart. I am emailing you in reference to the proposed beverage shop located at the intersection of SR 74 and Sunnyside Road in southwest Upson County. As a resident of Sunnyside neighborhood, I strongly oppose the county permitting this establishment at this location. While I understand that the business is business to most, I also understand the impacts of such a business to the nearby community. The Sunnyside neighborhood is a peaceful area and many retirees as well as families with young kids, and I fear that the crowd that a beverage store will draw will be an undesirable nuisance and possible danger. I'd also like to make mention of the nearby church to the proposed establishment. Georgia Code 3321 prohibits the sale of alcoholic beverages within 100 yards of a church building. From the edge of the proposed building to the property lines of Fellowship Church, it is very close to 100 yards. While the distance may exceed the required distance slightly, I ask you to ask yourself why this law was ever passed. Think about the effect of such business this close to a church where young ones are often present. Think about the effects on local residents having to endure the troubled behavior associated with tours, etc. While I'm sure there are many in favor of the beverage shop, I ask that the county commissioners weigh the pros and cons before permitting this business. I thank you for taking your time to hear my request. Please contact me if you need further information. Thanks again. And this is from Tonda Stone, and I think that's how she pronounces her name. This is my concern with the Sunnyside business store that is planning to open on Crest Highway, Highway 74. My first and foremost concern is the privacy and safety of myself and my grandchildren. My property is right behind the location of this store, and my lot bumps up to it. Anyone looking through the window of that building will be looking directly into my front door. My grandchildren play out there daily. I want them to be safe. An 8 or 12 foot privacy fence could help with that, and I am requesting that the new owners install one. The noise is another concern of mine. The property is kind of in a valley from Crest Highway. Voices travel, and I can hear people from Dollar General talking just as if they were outside my window. But Dollar General closes at 10, and then it becomes quiet. What will the hours of this operation, and will the noise interrupt my sleep time? Sunnyside Beverage Store, what else will they be selling? Is it only beverages? Is it liquor? If liquor is eventually approved to be sold in Upson County, then will it become a package store? Will there be people hanging out in the parking lot and drinking out of the backs of their cars and trucks? Or will it be no lottery? Will they have gambling machines? I ask these questions because the answer may illustrate the type of customers that will be attracted to the location. What is the county going to do about the traffic lights? Right now, we have a blinking red light, but if traffic increases at that intersection, a full red light may need to replace the caution light. I purchased land in the county and not in the city so that I could have my privacy. I purchased a few acres so no one would be able to live on top of me. I want to have privacy and feel okay about sitting out on my porch if I want to. I want my grandchildren to be able to play without worry of who is watching them. I want to be able to sleep at night without noise and being disturbed. Whether I drink or not is not the issue, but I do not want a lot of drinking and loud noise, not only at night, but also when I am out in my yard working or relaxing. Will it be a store or a hangout for others to gather? Thank you so much for allowing me to express my concerns, and I hope that you will take them into consideration. Terry Renfro. I am sending this email to go on record that I oppose the proposed beverage shop at 3087 Crest Highway. This is a couple hundred yards from my house and closer than that to Fellowship Baptist Church. We have a nice community out here at Sunnyside, and we do not want a beverage shop. Julie Bond. My understanding, someone is wanting to put a bottle shop on Crest Highway. I am opposing this action for several reasons. Number one, it is just yards away from my church, Fellowship Baptist. Two, alcohol does nothing but bring excess violence to our community. Look at what just happened this past week. 3 shootings, and I know at least 3 of those shootings, alcohol was involved. Number 3, more people driving under the influence, putting other people's lives in danger. I hope you will vote no for this bottle shop. Thank you. Bill Wheatless. Just want to express my opposition to the proposed beverage shop plan for Highway 74 West near Fellowship Baptist Church Crest Campus. I live in the subdivision behind Fellowship. Such a business in a rural area such as ours would likely present serious, unsafe situations for all of us. Respectfully submitted. And last, Guy and Gail West. Please do not allow this to happen. It is too close to the youth building that belongs to Fellowship Baptist Church and to there too much traffic in that intersection as it is. We live close by. Those are all my comments.
Okay. All right. And so, in the interest of all fairness, Mr. Huckabee, I'm sure there'll be some questions for you later, but you have a few comments.
Church related. I know some of them are even code related. So, I guess in answer to those questions anyway, yes, the distance is the appropriate distance even from the youth corner lot. So, like we discussed, previously, like I went through with the building and zoning, obviously prior to even submitting this or considering this, we did measure literally from the closest point on the church property, to which again is still somewhat in question if that's the way that should be handled. But even with that, we did measure from that point, and it is over 300 feet. So as far as the distance is under the guidelines to be there. As far as some of the other concerns, a lot of them also seem to just be a disagreement in the partaking of alcohol in general. That's people's personal opinion. Obviously, I respect that. That is what that is. Obviously, no one has to come to the store. So, I understand that, and I respect their opinions. Some of the concerns were with the additional hangouts. It's a store, like any other store. I've never personally went by a convenience store where people were were drinking out of their cars in the parking lot. Honestly, I don't even think that's legal. Regardless, they won't be allowed to do that at the store. And so I think the riffraff or those kind of things that have been mentioned, it's no different than any other store. It's also a convenience. It's not a beer only store. It's not just a store full of beer. It's a convenience store. There's going to be Hunt's Brothers pizzas and wings. There you can get Coca-Cola. You can get snacks. You can get lottery tickets. I think somebody even mentioned gaming. There'll be no gaming in any of those electronic games in there. Obviously, the store's not even big enough for that, but even if it were, my business doesn't allow me because I work on those outside of the country. Georgia law prohibits me from even having those games in anything owned by me. So, nevertheless, the gaming is not going to be an issue. You can buy lottery tickets. There will be Georgia lottery there, but no gaming devices. Like I said, I think the other concern was mainly what I heard anyway, mostly was a concern of the alcohol. Of course, alcohol is right across the street at Dollar General. So, I'm not bringing alcohol to the community. It's already there. What I'm bringing and attempting to bring to the community is a locally owned business. A locally owned business from a person who has local businesses, who has local properties, whose family has ran locally owned businesses for years, for over 50 years. My family's businesses are respected businesses, anywhere from Riverbend Restaurant to Turkey Creek Pork Skin, Speedy Lube. All of these are tied into my family and they're very respectable businesses. So again, I'm not opening up some hangout for people to consume open beverages or any of that. It's a store. You buy your stuff and you leave. And as far as the concerns of DUIs, again, obviously I can have my opinions on that, but again, that's a point, that is not really, it doesn't really change anything as far as opening the store itself. People are what cause those issues. Not drinks don't cause DUIs. People partaking in those cause those issues, and those people are going to cause those issues regardless of whether they buy that from my store. So, again, that's a deeper issue that is not related to, specifically a store selling that particular, product. As far as the church goes, they do have a store right across the street. I think we've already addressed the distance issue. The distance is not an issue. The distance has been measured, has been approved by the building zoning department. The distance is, I am far enough from all properties related to the church, regardless of whether, a second property should even be counted. And honestly, in this particular case, it is a moot point because I'm far enough away from all of the properties. I'm not visible from any of those church properties. So nowhere on any of those church properties, neither building, can you look and see me. My property can't even be seen from those properties. On that note, this is going, the plan is for this to be a very respected store, a local owned store. I grew up in Sunnyside myself. I grew up out in Crest. So again, my family owns Riverbend Restaurant in Crest. So again, we are familiar with this area. I would never want to do anything to hurt the area. So, I think honestly this would benefit the area. Turning it up and Bud Light signs and Budweiser signs all over the place and all of this. There'll be the signage for the building will be the name of the building itself, which is Sunnyside Beverage. It's a very, natural kind of old country style sign because that's what Sunnyside is to me. The only other sign that may even be up would likely be like a Hunt's Brothers pizza sign. Other than that, there won't even be any signs out front. So you don't have to, think that it's, a negative look on the community. If anything, I'm taking a property that was in very poor shape, and I am redoing, and I have already redone that property to be a nice piece of property in the community. Another concern, I think, if you don't mind real quick, another concern I think was, someone I think mentioned moving into the country and they wanted a peaceful. I understand that 100%. I live on a good bit of land myself. I understand that. I
Hey, well, I don't want to cut down as we deliberate this here in a moment, so, all right. So, there are no other comments, so Chairman, make a motion to exit the public hearing part of this.
Oh, motion we exit this public.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so all those in favor of exiting the hearing? Okay. All right. I know Mr. Courier's not here with us tonight, so we got your fill in here. So, Jason.
And I think the board probably, as far as the staff is concerned, the board has the information that they need now. I will let the board know that I've received several calls that were past the cutoff or the deadline to my office today. There were 3 additional calls this afternoon. They all 3 were in opposition as well. I won't say who those were because they missed the cutoff time. But as a clarification, staff measured it several times and from many different angles, and I even took the time, and then I believe some of the commissioners even took the time to try to do some of the measurements themselves. And as far as staff is concerned, the measurement of the distance is not an issue. So it meets or exceeds that component of his ability to get licensed on that property. I want to point out to the board that this afternoon, in advance of knowing we were going to have this discussion, I sent to the board section 6-46 and 6-49 of the county code. 6-46 are standards and guidelines for granting and or denying licenses under the alcohol provisions in the ordinance. So I would point to areas 2, 4, and 9. I think the board heard from some of the members of the community about some of the issues. Some of those issues are mentioned here. And then section 6-49 is titled proximity. Section B, it describes how the measurement is to be done. It does leave a little bit for interpretation, and I know you heard from several folks that sent messages in to be read for the record, and also from the applicant. Pretty much every way the staff measured it looked fine to us and in accordance with that ordinance. So, as far as background checks and everything else, everything is okay. So, it will be, as far as staff is concerned, the basic minimum requirements are met if the board chooses to approve.
Okay. Well, I'll ask for a motion on this application. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilder. I will say that I have, and I think several of us have a lot of outreach from the community, and I've talked to Mr. Huckabee as well, and appreciate the efforts that he has put into this. That being said, is there any other discussion?
Yeah, the only thing that was really changed my mind, I didn't know Dollar General sold beer already.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's Dollar General's door is actually closer than Sunnyside's door, so, to the church, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I will also like to mention, I received several calls about this, and most being in opposition. And personal opinion aside, I represent the people of that district, and I would say over the last 2 days, and mainly today, I would say I probably had 15 to 18 complaint calls about this, and maybe just opposition to it. And I do represent those people that call, and I represent the people that wrote those letters, and I can't vote my personal opinion tonight. I gotta vote. I represent those people, so. I'm here to represent them, not my personal opinion.
Okay. I know one of the things that we kind of kicked around the idea was, you know, that we're, you know, the application is for the site as it currently is. Mr. Huckabee, just get you back up here loud enough to where we can hear you. So just kind of for our own edification here, I mean, do you intend to change the layout of the building, doing more with driveways and just basically change the way that you would operate the store?
The only thing that has been considered to change would be to actually make the store a drive-through. I did have DOT come out as well as the Upson County Road Department. I had all of those guys come out, take measurements, give their recommendations, those kind of things. I had obviously DOT because it's on a state route, and then of course the county road department because it's on Sunnyside Road. I had DOT said it was perfectly fine, obviously to use it exactly as is, and I had the county guys come out in the event that we make it a drive-through again, just another way for convenience, you know, to keep traffic flowing. Because obviously I don't want any problems. I don't care for, you know, I don't want wrecks and all those things out there no more than anyone else does. So, you know, with those guys recommended and even said, you know, that it may be a good idea to put a drive in from Sunnyside Road and then exit onto Highway 74. I did tend to agree with that. That wouldn't change the distance at all. The only thing it would do is actually cost me a little more money. And again, that's you know, a recommendation from them. If that does sound like a better idea to me. So I definitely, you know, would consider doing that and thought about doing that, and pretty much have already priced all of that out. I've had their recommendation as far as even who to do it. They recommended someone local that does it for the county. I had that guy give me a quote on that, and he told me he's pretty much ready to do it, put in all the necessary regulated pipes and entrances they've already measured. And again, this is the county. I paid for that permit already in the event to do it. As far as adding on to the building, none of that will be changed. Obviously, the building's not being moved, so there'll be no distance changes or anything to that effect. I don't plan on, again, adding any additional structures or any of that. So essentially what would happen is, you know, once this is approved, then I would, at that point, because it has been put off for a little while now, at that point I would immediately start looking into stocking the store. It's already been remodeled on the inside. We went in and did all the electrical and the plumbing and new sheetrock, all these things. So, you know, as far as the additional changes, that would be the only one. And again, that was it is a good idea, and I do think it will be there. There would be no changes other than, you know, we may pay the parking lot or something to that effect, but nothing to change the structure, adding additional space or anything to that effect.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing no other discussion, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
No.
Chairman Allen?
No. Okay. All right, so the application is approved, Mr. Huckabee, and we wish you well.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to disconnect you now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Next,
Second.
motion made and seconded. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right. Do we have any public comments on this application, Ms. Jones?
No.
Okay. There being no public comments for this particular application, the chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right. Mr. Tinsley, you
Just to reiterate for the board, the county clerk handled this application, and to our knowledge, everything is in order and ready for approval if the board wishes to approve.
this is a location has had one, it's just under new ownership.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
All right? Is there a motion on this application? Paul, please. Yeah. There we go. I'm back up. Is there a motion on the application?
Say on our motion that we approve this application.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilder. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it, Commissioner Watson.
Seconded by, okay, we got it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda are public comments. Did we have any general public comments for the board tonight?
No, sir.
No public comments. We'll move on. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. Gentlemen, you'll see our work session minutes from May the 6th, our regular meeting minutes from May the 12th, and the acceptance of our county financial report for the period ending April 30th. Is there a motion on the consent?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded from Commissioner Ellington. All those in favor of approving the consent? Wait, I'm sorry, Ms. Jones.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay, new business, item D, discussion and approval of the employee health insurance plan.
Chairman Allen, just to back up a little bit, this was on our agenda for the May 6th work session. So to recap where we were in the May 6th work session, we were in receipt of a renewal from MSI with our current provider, which is Cigna. So briefly, without any changes or increases to employee deductions or contributions, I should say, we were looking at roughly an 11.24% increase, or roughly $216,605 in addition over what we're paying currently. We had a fairly lengthy discussion, and we asked for the board's consent to go back to our broker and come up with some more options for the board to be able to consider aside from just a strict renewal. We did that, and I want to thank Matt and his team for doing that so quickly. We had 2 meetings by phone, 1 in person. We actually put a little ad hoc staff committee together because we knew we had a quick turnaround time on this, and we actually sought some input from staffers who are, insured only themselves plus one, our family, and we talked about what the impacts would be and what the different options were. So we got some feedback from staff, and then we sent Matt back to work and renewal option 2. And those 2 options, and there is a difference from the last time we presented, and I'll let Matt explain what the differences are. But option 1 is an increase of $124,476 or 6.46%. And option 2 is an increase of $89,149 or 4.63%. But with that comes some changes to the plan and potentially some increases in contributions from employees. So if the chair would allow, we would consider that teed up for our broker and let him take it from there.
Matt?
I'm here. Can y'all hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm not there. I had to be in Blue Ridge for a 4 o'clock meeting, and I just can't drive that fast. Thank you. Option 1, what we're proposing is to make benefit changes. Our current deductible is $2,000. We're recommending taking the deductible to $2,500. We're recommending increasing the maximum out of pocket that an employee would pay if they were to get ill or sick from $2,000 to $2,500. And we're recommending the co-pays on the physician visits go from 25 to 30, from 50 to 60 for specialists, and the emergency room co-pay would increase $100. I'm going to turn my volume down, maybe that's causing that. We'll see if that helps. Those changes would take 4% off of the renewal, and we would be able to leave the employee contributions unchanged. And that would leave the county with a 6.46% increase. And then option 2 are the same benefit changes, but we also increase the employee contributions by 10%, and that would get us to a 4.3% increase for 89,000. And so option 1 would be just the benefit changes with no change in the employee contributions, and option 2 would be the benefit changes along with the employee contribution changes.
Okay.
I do have one more version it's not an option per se, but if indeed the board does decide to go with option 1, where we are going to increase the employee's deductible and co-pays, we do recommend that you continue to still offer the current benefit on the table, which is a $2,000 deductible, and the employees who want better insurance would actually pay premium difference and buy up, so it would still be cost neutral to the county. So the county could still keep their increase at the 6.4%. The employees who agree to the benefit changes would have no change in their deductions, and those employees who wish to keep their deductible lower, their copay lower, would pay the additional premium. And that's shown on page 5 if you've got the whole package.
Okay. So a single employee to buy up their biweekly deduction would go from $24.23 to $37.23?
Correct.
Okay.
So if they want to keep their same benefits, it goes to $37, but if they'd rather keep the same deduction, then they agree to the benefit changes. So you pick your pill for your employees. I don't want to call it poison, but it's their choice, and we think that's what you're appealing to everybody, those who don't want any change in costs, and those who would rather pay a little bit more knowing that if they do get sick, they don't have as much to come out of pocket.
So Jason, you vetted this through an employee committee. What was the feedback from the employee committee?
Well,
no consensus, right?
Yeah, the feedback was we'll take the plan as it currently stands, and we wouldn't, we don't necessarily want to contribute anymore to it either. But in seriousness, Chairman Allen, I think one of the things that some of the folks that we asked to give us input on that they would still have that ability to buy up with the extra insurance. They would appreciate that option more rather than eliminating that entirely. So there were folks that sounded like they wanted to take advantage of that if it was offered. So you're looking at the difference between option 1 and option 2 to the county is the difference between $90,000 increase and $125,000, so basically a $35,000 difference. As the board knows, we have some temporary fiscal sustainability measures in place, and we've probably already come close to capturing on the expense side the increase for an option 2. We're still working our way up, and I'm talking about in terms of unfilled positions and such. I think either option fits within our current budget, but it's just a matter of what does our current budget look like in the second half of the year as far as our anticipated revenue. But either one fits nicely in the current budget, and I would say that it would certainly be an option 1 renewal would certainly be much better received than an option 2, because we don't feel like it's sustainable year to year. Was the 11.2% if you made no changes at all, no changes to employee contributions, and no changes to the coverage. We're comfortable with option 1. I think it's a nice compromise between where we were May 6th at the work session, and then potentially with an option 2 not giving anyone the ability to buy up. Is that correct, Matt?
That is correct.
Okay.
So with renewal option one, do they still have the ability to buy it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Or, so if I hear you correctly, the renewal option one is what the staff is proposing?
We are, only because we feel like it's a nice compromise between, where the renewal started and.
Yeah, from 11.2 to
Yeah.
6.4.
So I think, to me, it shows the employees that we're trying desperately to mitigate the impacts to them, but at the same time, we're saying, well, I mean, even at a 7% annual increase, I'm not sure how sustainable that is, but, it's certainly a far cry from 11, which I consider that unsustainable, especially moving into any potential, recession that may come to fruition, may not. I've actually got some good news on revenue for my updates at the end, but, it's early in the game, so. I don't feel comfortable as a manager recommending what was originally proposed. I feel like that would be fiscally irresponsible.
Appreciate that. Okay, is there so staff's recommendation is the renewal of option one, which is a 6.46% increase over the prior year. Chair will entertain a motion on staff's recommendation.
This is Commissioner Watson. I'll move to make a motion on staff's recommendation.
Okay.
Is
Motion.
that with Bob?
Yes,
With the,
with the buy option, I think that's a good compromise as well, as Jason discussed.
thank you. So I have a motion from Commissioner Watson. Is there a second on his motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Ellington. So to restate, the motion is to accept renewal option one and offer the buy-up option for employees that so desire to participate. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay, moving along. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your time.
I didn't want to interrupt, but also we were making a request to change the Warrington disability to One America, simply because, for two reasons. One, we had an increase on the Dearborn, and we request to change it to One America for two reasons. One, to lose the increase is about a $4,000 premium difference. And number two, Dearborn is no longer offering products for sale in Georgia for the last 2 years. And we'd like to get you in with one of our bigger carriers where we think the customer service would be much better. So we'd like you to make it, if we could make a recommendation to change the basic life and disability from Dearborn to One America. And then number two, during the staff meetings, it was discussed about adding a flexible spending account as an option to the employees. And I don't know if that's something y'all want to discuss at this time. In essence, it's a cost neutral item to the county, but it is something that we had talked about in the meetings and some of the employees were interested in. And so those are my two other notes on that page.
Okay, I'm glad you pointed that out. Do you need us to take action on this tonight, the disability?
Yeah, I was going to ask Matt that. I wasn't sure if we needed any action on that.
Matt, do you need action on this recommendation on the disability insurance tonight? Matt?
Yes,
Do you need that tonight?
we can't do open enrollment until we know what we're doing.
I understand. So this is part of it, so.
Yeah.
So,
And Chairman Allen, the flexible spending account would come in a separate agreement, which would be on your, so in principle, I mean, we can agree to the concept, but the paperwork would still have to come on an agenda for you.
okay. But are you comfortable moving with the recommendation on disability insurance?
Yeah, so he the insurance that we provide as a benefit.
would you like me to give a quick summation of an FSA?
I don't think we need that right now, but,
Okay,
I mean, I think if you get with Jason and just bring it to us.
Yeah.
But let's move forward with the open enrollment. So what you're saying is, moving to One America, we're anticipating we'll have a better service and save money.
Well, as Matt was saying, that they're no longer offering policies in Georgia, and it's a $4,000 savings, so I think that's pretty much summarized.
Staff recommends adopting this.
I got just a question. So I mean, and I realize this is insurance, and we see this constantly, but, it seemed like we were right here last year, and it was recommended to us, we go with what's that punch us for about 8%? Are we just playing a vicious game here? I mean, should we be negotiating with, it's obviously a game on both sides. They know we're gonna leave, they're gonna go up, they know we're gonna leave. We'll get offered an introductory fee to come in with another company. As soon as they get us in 1 year, they thank us, boom, they jacked us up 18%. Our broker, he's in the middle, getting paid. Well,
Are we talking about the life insurance?
no, I'm talking about the health insurance, and it falls down to the life insurance too. So they don't sell it anymore in Georgia, but they're gonna offer it to us with an increase. Where does this end?
I guess, so to kind of paraphrase what you're asking, is there any benefit to putting a saddle on a horse and riding that horse for a long period of time?
Right, because if we jump over to this other company for the disability insurance, then they're gonna come back next year and they're gonna jack the price up 14% to get their loss back.
on the offer through One America, we have a 2-year rate guarantee. And even with our current plan, we have a 2-year rate guarantee on the renewal offer. The reason we were recommending the change was, the real reason was because Dearborn is not stolen vendors. We've got great customer service from them, and we can get it for a little bit less money. Normally, for just that little bit of premium difference, we would not recommend a change, but for the reasons cited, I think this is probably a good time to make the change. But if the board decides not to, that's fine too.
Chairman, I think that the larger point that Commissioner Ellington was making is that, keep in mind, when we moved to Cigna away from Blue Cross, we moved out of a pool with all the other counties through the association. So the increase in that pool was largely dependent on the experience of all of the counties that were in the pool rather than just us. So in that instance, although for years I think we were taking advantage of us having, other people having lower claims than us, it kind of flip-flopped, and our broker made the recommendation to pull us out of that pool and put us on the open market. And what he went through, if you remember last year, was a competitive process where he evaluated our business individually to all the folks that provide the service to a company or an organization like ours in Georgia, and they bid on it competitively. Did I summarize that correctly?
Yes.
So it is a competitive process, and Matt is our person that bids that for us on our behalf. So, I share Commissioner Ellington's level of frustration because and staff has seen me when these renewals come back. I mean, I feel like it's a never-ending cycle and there's no way out. So that some level of helplessness I can definitely sympathize with for sure. But we do have a very capable broker putting our stuff out there on the market and trying to find the best price for us. So that's not something that we're capable of doing as staff in-house.
Okay, so that we can move forward and get the open enrollment, which we've got to get going on, is there a motion on the disability insurance as the staff is presented.
Yes, I offer a motion that we approve the staff recommendation as it was presented.
Okay, I have a motion to approve,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Jones. So everybody knows it's a 6.54% reduction in the premiums. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington?
Yes.
Chairman Allen?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your due diligence.
Thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing y'all again in person.
Intergovernmental agreement with the Department of Community Supervision for an office lease at the DOT building. Jason, you want?
Chairman Allen, if you may remember, as the Department of Community Supervision was actually losing their facility here in Thomaston, I believe representatives not only approached you, but approached the sheriff, I believe the public defender and a few others, of just trying to hunt down some office space where they can conduct interviews. And the sheriff had asked us if we would consider entertaining letting them use a vacant office in our GDOT building. So this simple agreement, it represents that request. It's an agreement for 1 year that can be terminated with 30 days notice. It's so they can use an office from time to time, have access to the building, have a key, and conduct interviews in there. So we're calling it a temporary use agreement, and it is an intergovernmental agreement with the department key, so they can get in there and utilize the space. So that was something that the sheriff had asked us to consider. As far as I'm concerned, as staff, it's a 1 year agreement that doesn't automatically renew, so it will expire. It is temporary. The sheriff went on to say about how important that service was to managing his jail population, so I brought it forth to the board in the form of the simple agreement.
Okay.
Well, another question. So they're currently in the building in the old municipal complex.
I think they've actually moved out of that building.
Recently, I think last week, if I remember,
And do they have a long-term solution to what they're going to do?
not that I'm aware of.
Have we attempted to negotiate a long-term solution for that building?
I think because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, I think right now, just because of the state mandated cuts, they're not doing anything regarding any kind of long-term lease agreements or real estate procurement or anything like that right now. So basically, it just came down to these folks were being put out.
And what was their agreement? Or do we know the agreement? Were they paying something to the city of Thompson?
Yes, yeah, I think
Well, if they were paying the city of Thompson, why aren't they paying us?
Well, they're using this office as they were staffed up there.
so they're not going to have any staff in this office. They're just going to use it to conduct interviews. In other words, they won't have anybody located here. They're just going to use this
It's not
space.
going to be day-to-day.
When's the last time the state did something for us?
It's been probably a long time.
Okay.
We're working on some things. So you want to go back, have this renegotiated?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, we got a 12-month agreement, come as you want, leave as you want. We gotta pay for the air conditioning, I know we keep, but if the air conditioner breaks, we gotta fix it. We gotta pay the utility bills on it, we gotta pay the sewage on it, the water. Do I need to go on and on? I mean,
No.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna incur expense, if we're gonna incur expense, the citizens of Upson County needs to be reimbursed for that expense. But the citizens own that building.
And I'm just going to play devil's advocate, I don't disagree with you, I'm saying there's a service that comes with it. So one other way to look at it is they're providing us a service. By being here to do those interviews and to work with us to try to keep that jail.
It don't sound like they're gonna do a whole lot of interviews. I'm just simply saying that they're paying somewhere, why aren't we just offering it?
Jason, my understanding was there was no discussion, I mean, they weren't even going to have a discussion about any kind of contractual agreements, but there was those.
Chairman, I would say the field level staff, they were under the impression that there would not be any funds available for that. We didn't go any higher level than that when we were, in other words, when it got to the level of the legal department of the Department of Community Supervision, we did not have that discussion with them. But at the staff level, I think they were basically saying that all the budget for that facility was cut.
So basically, we didn't ask the question.
No, but it also came as a request to, if you have some available space, can we use it for a little while? It was really that simple. So anyway, I didn't, it's obviously the board makes the decisions about, the allocation of the property. So that was not something I felt comfortable signing up myself, especially without compensation. So I brought it to the board for your, so now, if you want me to go back and say, we want $100 a month for the room, or
No, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just simply making a point. I mean, obviously we want to work with agencies like that, but it's just odd that they were paying. I don't know what the amount was, but I'm sure it wasn't $100 a month for that building up there, and then then we're gonna put them down here. What I would like for us to be doing is talking to them about, hey, let's work something out on that building, and you move your location here. Because obviously, if they're providing that important service, they need a place here to provide that service. So, I would like to do that. Let's talk a little more serious about it. I understand.
So you have
budget restraint.
So you have a motion to table this to discuss it later?
No. Making a point. Free ain't always free.
Well, so you want to make a motion on this?
I'll let
Okay. Well, so we have the staff's recommendation for this lease agreement. Is there a motion on this lease agreement?
I say go ahead with it. It's temporary. If they're not gonna staff it, we got other people in there, the air conditioner's running anyway, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
For the time being. If it comes up for negotiation again, though, I think we need to have a discussion.
All right, I have a motion to approve this lease agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilder.
I was waiting on it.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilder. Any further discussion? I'll just say this, if we can, this is a temporary, and it can be severed. If we can come up with a better deal, then we can always come back and sever this
It
agreement.
says in here 30 days.
It goes way into town.
And
it.
see,
I say we need to get started negotiating.
yeah, don't wait until this runs out. Let's see what we can do. See what we can do. All right, motion made and seconded, and hearing no further discussion. Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellington,
Yes.
Chairman Allen.
Yes. Okay, moving right along. Comments? Mr. Tinsley?
Chairman, I have two items. One, I would like to publicly thank Mr. Tarrant at our hospital and his staff. Occasionally, we run into issue with key members of our staff that have different issues they have to deal with related to COVID-19, and I think that relationship we built with our hospital leadership over the last few months has really paid off, and I just wanted to publicly thank Jeff and his staff for taking such good care of our employees when we find that we need some things expedited or we need some a little additional tender loving care, they jump right in and they take care of it. So without getting into anybody's personal information, they've been really, really wonderful. So I just wanted to publicly thank them.
Great.
And then the other item I had, which I found to be interesting, and I think we weren't really betting on it, but we were sort of taking guesses on where sales tax collections would be, and I know the board's been really interested in it, but basically represents the March collection, so sort of the beginning of the COVID crisis for our community. Much to a few commissioners' predictions and some of the finance predictions, we broke a record for our April distribution. It's the highest distribution for a SPLOST for the 1 penny that we've ever had.
So all in total.
So I thought I would share. I did send a separate email out to the board that showed the data, but roughly it's 5.4% more than last year. And the highest one I've seen since I've tracked it, and I track it back all the way to its inception, so I'm pretty sure I didn't miss that. So it's the highest April we've ever had, and one of the highest distributions we've ever had, period. So,
And so you make that same assumption with lost and
yes,
wash?
yes. Now, they all come in at different rates of increase or decrease because they have different exemptions, but we kind of use the SPLOST as our baseline because it has the least amount of exemptions on it. But anyway, 5.4% year to year. So we'll track this closely as you dive into your financial report for ending the April month. You'll see some revenues are down. I would point out probate court, which hasn't been able to have traffic court in some time, and others. So this is welcome news, and it's not all roses in the financial report, and revenue is down a little in areas. Nothing too terribly concerning right now. Obviously, it's early, but I thought I would share the sales tax distributions with you. They were phenomenally high. So, one of the things I discussed with the staff is, it seems as though in kind of our 5-county region, it's maybe prevented some people from leaving our 5-county region to do business in maybe the Macon area, the Columbus area, the South Metro area, maybe encourage people to stay more local. I don't necessarily really know. We're going to run some of the commodity reports that you get and see if we can figure out where those individual high points are coming from. But anyway, very positive on the sales tax front. Those were the only 2 items I had.
Okay. But you did mention unemployment. The unemployment numbers came out for the state of Georgia.
Yeah, the last was 11.4%, and as my understanding, that's a record high since they started keeping the records.
Can I ask Jason a question? You got any updates on the road department?
Yeah, so the building's going out. We're just finishing up the bid specs for it now, so it should be on the street for bid in the next week or so.
It's taking a long time. I noticed it.
Probably have some more in-depth discussion on that at our.
That we need to discuss at the work session is the liability insurance property casualty.
And we have at our workshop next week, roads.
EMC will be back with your draft for that work session, so that'll be a big part of it as well.
Okay. Good.
Before we move on, may I ask the clerk a question?
Absolutely.
Are we still looking at June 3rd for ACCG submission for our our insurance quote? Okay. So I do want to give our local broker credit. He's ready to present your renewal, but we're waiting on the association and their proposal.
This is on first casualty.
Yeah, that's correct.
Is there a reason that we're having to wait on that?
I don't know. I mean, he's asked for stuff, I've given it to him, then he'll come back and ask for something different. It was just, I don't know.
When's our policy run expire?
Late July.
July 26th, I think.
It's a non-renewal
Weird
day.
date, 29th or something like that.
And I'm sure that if our insurance is like personal insurance, good time to change is not when you have an occurrence of a fire.
Your experience mod goes up.
And it did.
We're not attractive.
Yeah. So, a couple things working against us right now. It's good that we're,
But we were, as the board may remember, when we renewed last year, we made that commitment that we would, because it had been 2 years prior when the board had gotten their last quote from the ACCG pool, and we were just really waiting on that to present it to y'all, because we haven't seen it yet. So.
I don't want to catch you off guard on this, but it just popped in my head because you mentioned the word earlier. sustainability policy. How's that working? I mean, things,
The
everybody's,
level of cooperation I think we're getting is extremely high, and of course, all of they've been wonderfully active and compliant, but the level of cooperation from the constitutional offices has been very high too, so. There are a couple of situations where, for instance, a 911 dispatch where you have to get, someone is retiring and you gotta get someone in the pipeline to fill the position. So when it comes to public safety sensitive stuff, and even, I'll give the sheriff a lot of credit, he is probably he's probably 7 positions down right now, and he's trying to hover around 5 to try to bring it in through the end of the year. So we've got one other constitutional office that is not refilling a position due to a departure of an employee. So if you add that to Board of Commissioners, and I'm just throwing out rough numbers, so if the sheriff 7, that other office is 8, and then we're roughly understaffed by about 5. So it's helping a lot. And obviously the other things are important, but no one's traveling right now anyway, so all of our travel budgets they're not really obviously using any of those funds for anything. And the capital expenditures have ceased. We had a couple of the larger items that we were getting ready to put out to bid that had not been discussed in a work session or previously approved by the board for release. We put a pause on those. So, and we can go over at the work session what those are. So, and now that you bring that up, I'll give you an accurate report on open positions for that work session as well. But it's very positive.
great. Mr. English, you got anything for us tonight?
I don't have anything tonight, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, good to see you. All right, Mr. Ellington,
I don't have anything.
Mr. Wild?
I actually have one, but our work session next week will be here.
Yes.
Okay. But I just wanted to make sure I understand what's
Good
going
call.
on.
Good call.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones, anything?
I don't have anything. Appreciate everybody watching.
Yeah, I got a couple quick notes. You know, I missed the call today, our weekly COVID call with our healthcare professionals and other partners. And Jason shared some good news today. It seems like, I guess Jason, the way to summarize it is things that kind of, knock on wood, seems like
I don't want to quote their numbers and get them wrong, but it was in the single digits as far as numbers of COVID patients that they had currently. And the hospital CEO he indicated that they were back on track with PPE. They were where they need to be. So as far as patients, as far as PPE, I mean, they're focused on a fall resurgence as like some of the health position to start gearing up for round 2. And then the Department of Public Health said that they had tested over 700 people at the drive-through, and that they were roughly running at about a 2% positive rate, which they find that's pretty reasonable. I think, was it 15 out of 700 tested
15.
positive so far?
Yep.
So they're pleased with those numbers.
all right, and I have 2 notes for y'all. One, I think you probably have heard or seen through the paper reporting the IDA meeting last week. Seems like we're pressing forward on this site development work and wastewater project for our park. I suspect that in the very near future we'll have something, city, county, IDA, joint meeting, joint discussions about how to move forward on that. So I'm happy to see that we're heading that direction and sound like we're getting close to wanting to tackle that project. And then the last comment I'll make is, you know, voting against a business, a local business, is something I don't take lightly. I hope everybody understands. And sometimes, you know, it can be the right business, but the location could be just a little off. And in this case, it's kind of like Mr. Ellington said earlier. You know, we represent the constituents in that community, balance, and so. But I appreciate both sides of the issue, and it's not something we take lightly. And so, that being said, any other final thoughts, final comments, Ms. Jones?
No, sir.
I don't have anything else. Yeah,
I forgot about you.
yeah, I'm good.
Thank you for so delicately pointing that out.
Well, it's delayed, so I don't know when you're getting what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, thank you. I apologize. All right, there being no other business, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Watson,
So moved.
is there a second?
So.
We're adjourned. Thank you, folks.